Hello, everybody. It is Monday. It is time for the MMO Buff podcast, where we discuss things on an analytical nature, where we get serious, where we talk about things that matter to the gaming community and, do more than just scratch the surface. Tonight's show is literally all about the solo player and their role in an MMO environment. And tonight, I have my guests with me, Mizpa and Gazzy. So, everyone say hello to... Oh, that's right. Mizpa's currently flying into another country. Gazima is currently a little busy. It looks like I'm doing this solo show about solo stuff. Solo. Well, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, it actually brings a rather interesting point across. Because the reality is, you're not always going to have your best friends near you, your family near you, your coworkers near you. And yet, in an MMO environment that stresses the multiplayer online, well, massively multiplayer online environment, sometimes you play solo. And again, that's what the show's about. So let's mix things up a little bit, because as much as I really wish I could turn to Mizpa and say, Mizpa, let's talk stuff, and then Mizpa can do his radio announcement voice thing, and I could turn to Gazzy, and Gazzy can give me the evil eye, because he's a evil Chua, as we have discussed in many shows. I'm alone. So I don't want to bore you with making you look at them when... Why not step into the limelight? It's me time. So, as with all shows, there are many things to discuss. First off, thank you guys so much for showing up. I know that last week was difficult. Unfortunately, I got really ill, and that kind of threw the entire team for a loop. Miz got ill, then Gazzy was off doing some other things. It got really difficult for us to pull shows out. So last week was a bit of a fluke, and I do apologize for that. But thank you guys for showing up today. It allows... It just goes to show the love of the community, which is something that's going to be very important for you to know about with an announcement that'll be coming up in today's show. I also want to say as a reminder, if you haven't seen our previous episode where we debate out casual versus hardcore and Gazimov coins a new phrase of pond life, please go to YouTube and check it out. You can see it there, YouTube/MMOBuff. I did mention the fact that there's a new show coming, right? And you have actually seen on Facebook and Twitter and on our Reddit the image associated with it. Well, tonight I'm actually going to reveal all. I'm also going to be revealing the winner of the BlizzCon Raid the LairOfSwagzilla. Me being Swagzilla, so people are raiding my lair. And announce who won. It was rather interesting. I'm going to have to say, I really, really appreciate those who actually followed the directions in our contest, because I had to skip 3 people who could have been the legendary prize winners because they weren't following us. And that was kind of one of the prerequisites for winning. So, you 3 people, sorry. So, as I squeak my way into the next part of our show, which is where we go in depth into news. And like I said, it's me time. So, Gazimov, Mizpa, I love you guys, but shoo. So, as I continue to squeak, apparently this seems to be the squeaky show. I'm still recovering from being ill, so I'm going to make random noises that might seem a little weird. But yes, let's tackle a little bit of the news. Now, before I go into the news thing, I'm going to state we've had some problems recently with Twitch chat. Either people being disconnected or people having problems actually chatting, what have you. Well, don't fret. Don't panic. Because even though I was sick when I came back, which was basically last night, I went through everything and the suggestions that were made by people, and we have officially started an IRC chat. So I'm going to go ahead and post into the channel for you guys the link to this IRC chat. If anything occurs to the Twitch chat tonight, I'm going to be paying attention to IRC. Now, I'm also going to be in IRC all the time because I'm the community manager for MMOBuff. And I like talking to people. So if you guys have thoughts, comments, concerns, etc., you're definitely going to want to be there to tap me on the shoulder. It's basically another way to get in touch with me. So here you go. Makes it quick and easy. And yes, if those of you who do use an IRC client of some kind, who are that kind of geek, and we do have a couple, and we also have some who are not that kind of geek, but a different kind of gamer geek, you can just use the link that I've put in. So thank you very much, Aiko. And hello to everybody who happens to be joining the IRC chat. Hey! Wait, how does the font do it? Hey. That doesn't quite work the way I thought it was going to work, but anyway. So, now we move into the news properly. So what's going on in the world? What crazy things could possibly be of interest to someone who likes to look at things from an analytical standpoint? Well, obviously being sick, I've been out of the loop. However, a couple of things have come to mind, and actually, I need your all help. Y'all's help? I need your help, basically. And again, forgive me, I will be drinking throughout this. That's just the way it works. Some of you are very aware of this fact. Others of you could care less. And others of you have an incredibly strong opinion about this. But basically, what has happened that kind of tickled my fancy is the fact that Ghostcrawler has left Blizzard. Now, this to me is interesting because I remember Ghostcrawler back in the days when I was, hardcore raiding in World of Warcraft. I remember being on Vent, TeamSpeak, Mumble even, and having people go, ooh, Ghostcrawler, you screwed us over again. It seems as if Ghostcrawler has developed some kind of reputation. And the thing is, I never actually took the time to look into it to see if it was a well-deserved one. And I also think it's interesting that he's changed his Twitter profile to state that he is a lead designer somewhere cool. So it's not like he's just left the gaming industry. He's a lead designer at some place that has no name, at least to us. We have no clue where he's gone. But what I would like for you guys to do, in the interest of fashion, as the case may be, is let me know your actual thoughts on it. Do you believe that things like a lead designer leaving is even worth the news? We also would like to know really your thoughts on it. If you feel strongly one way or another about Ghostcrawler and the work that he's done, all that other crazy stuff, please let us know in the Reddit thing, which I am now linking to you because I am apparently able to talk to you and link things at the same time. I am a multitasker. Now, the other thing that's sort of Blizzard related, This kind of struck me as interesting. We have a wonderful writer at MMOBuff, and hopefully you guys have actually had a chance to see his work. But his name's Dave Pugh, and he goes by All-Star MMO. And he wrote an absolutely amazing piece on basically discrimination inside games. And just recently, within the Blizzard community, there was this comment made by Dustin Broder that seemed to strike a backlash about sexism, because apparently he, in some way, shape, or form, offended women with his statement. Now, are you guys aware of what has actually been said by him and why this is apparently such a big deal? Now, I will tell you point blank, one show at some point in time will actually go into sexism and things like that, because I've got some pretty darn strong opinions, and I have no problems laying it on the line for people. But I am just curious if people are aware of this particular incident. And it seems like one person is not. So yes. Okay. What he said, and I quote this, was, let's see, he was doing an interview with Rock, Paper, Shotgun, which, might I add, are amazing people. They're really great to read their articles and things like that. But in an interview with them, they were talking about the outfits for female characters and things like that. So obviously, anytime you start to develop into things like, oh, gee, I don't know, having Kerrigan running around in Heroes of the Storm, people kind of, I guess, take it a bit too far and too extreme. But what he actually said was, and I quote here, well, I mean, some of these characters, I would argue, are already hypersexualized in a sense. I mean, Kerrigan is wearing heels, right? We're not sending a message to anybody. We're just making characters who look cool. Our sensibilities are more comic book than anything else. That's sort of where we're at. But I'll take the feedback. I think it's very fair feedback. Now, here's the thing. I, as an individual, have no problem with what he's saying at all, except for one thing. Just because somebody wears high heels, male or female, does not mean that they are supposedly depicting themselves in a sexual manner. So, as far as I'm concerned, had he not included that one statement that basically uses a trope that is in games describing women, for example, Miss Pac-Man wears heels, so obviously Miss Pac-Man is a female, that kind of a thing. Because he used a trope to describe sexualizing of a female character, that's where I have a problem with it. Now, I personally believe that the fight about sexism in games, the fight about there being too many male-dominated characters versus female-dominated characters, I personally believe that fight has gone on way too far. And I think, in all honesty, that's something that will have to be discussed in a future show, because that's something I can go on forever, and that's not what this show is about. However, what I do want to quote is my friend Nintari, who happens to be here in the channel. So, hi Nintari. But I was speaking with her about it, and she said it's better to bring those kinds of topics to light and discuss them rather than avoid them. There's always going to be a few people who disagreed, but I think it's better than saying nothing at all, and I could not agree more. This kind of topic, I think, needs to be discussed, and there are going to be people who are going to be rubbed the wrong way. There are going to be people who are going to be pissed off. There are going to be people who get irate and who go trolling, etc. That kind of stuff, I think, needs to be discussed. The moment you stop discussing something, the moment you hide your head in the sand, the moment you become stagnant in your understanding of the culture and the world around you, I think that's when we start to fail. And that's what I'm going to say about it, and I end it there. Like I said, we will go into a future show someday, and that is going to be something that'll be brought up. We'll beat it to a pulp. I just want to have discussions about it. I want to foster it. I want, the opinions of the people who listen to the analytical shows, because you guys are analytical as well. You guys bring some crazy topics and points to bear, and I want to see that. So be prepared for something like that soon. Moving on, though, I'm going to move away from Blizzard, and I'm going to move into a rather interesting concept. And for me, it happens to be, how many people get really excited when they see the Steam sale or an Indiegogo sale? Or how many people just got their hands on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One? Or how many people love the fact that you have click digital access to games? I know I do. I'm not even going to lie. I think my Steam list is up to something like almost 400 games. I just got 2 more this past weekend, thanks to Gwyn's, my husband, who was so kind as to go, you really don't feel well? The Steam sale's going on. Here, have 2 games. Now I just got to find the time to play them. There seems to be this rather interesting phenomenon going in with the ISP world here, at least in the United Kingdom. I firmly believe that when it comes to technology, especially with our internet access, the speeds that we have in the United Kingdom is completely subpar to what is available in Europe, is actually subpar to what's available in the United States in some cases as well. And yet we have things that affect our ability to download, such as traffic shaping. Now, traffic shaping, for those who aren't aware, are limitations put onto a network that limits how fast that particular connection is. It's known as throttling. And a lot of ISPs in the United Kingdom do it. Not all of them. I will state that right off the bat. However, in today's day and age where the games are getting larger, if you want to buy something on your PS4 or your Xbox, your download speed is getting interrupted big time. Now, this was something that was noticed and commented on, and it seems to show that most gamers aren't even aware of the fact that this is going to impact them, which seems kind of strange to me because the reality is you're using an internet connection, and if you're playing a game and you're playing it online, most of the time you're sitting there getting pissed off at your latency or your ping or something along those lines. So, you know, I just kind of find it interesting. It was more or less one of those, this is an interesting thing. How is it that gamers aren't aware of it? But then it dawned on me. Not everybody is downloading massive multiplayer games. Not even massive. You know, Call of Duty isn't exactly known as a massive multiplayer online game, and yet it still allows online interactions. Mass Effect has a 4-player mode. You've got Borderlands, it's got a 4-player mode. Yes, I'm kind of picking on first-person shooters, but it's the first thing that comes to my mind. But there's a lot of people who are downloading other games that are actually solo player. For example, oh my gosh, I can't even remember. How can I forget the name? BioShock Infinite. Not exactly multiplayer, solo player, but it's a big download. So it seems to me that this Christmas, if you happen to live in the United Kingdom, you might find yourself shrunk down to tiny, tiny, tiny bits of traffic as everybody in the entire United Kingdom goes and gets their consoles and starts downloading all of the stuff. Because you can now with consoles. So, yeah. Kind of interesting. And yes, Nintar, I have to agree with you. BioShock Infinite, really well worth it. In fact, it was Gazimov who recommended that if you hadn't had a chance to play it, you should really check it out. And I checked it out, and I'm all like, huh. I may get the barrel under the sea, but I don't know yet. Again, time. I've got to find it. So, now we move into the meat of our show. Transition screen. The Soloist. This is going to sound so weird, but I am a recovering solo player. Does that? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I am a recovering solo player. Now, what makes this interesting is in order to talk about the role of the solo player in an MMO, we actually need to define what a solo player is. And I take my hat off to Avenged X in our Reddit chat, who specifically pointed out, if you're going to talk about solo players, you kind of need to define them. Which type of solo player are you looking for? And it is entirely possible you just heard a bling. I have no control over the sounds. This is not my system. This is not my chair. You guys should recognize this is not my chair. This, however, is my background. This is my office, but this is not my chair. So if you hear sounds, I have no control over them, and I do apologize. Anyway, moving back to the solo player. I think I have, in my research, specifically for this episode, because this is something that we were supposed to do last week, but obviously being ill and everything else like that, it didn't happen. But a couple of things struck me as interesting. In games like WildStar, they target the 4 different play styles of the people who like to kill stuff, the people who like to explore stuff, the people who like to learn stuff. And, you know, they take those different things and turn them into actual game mechanics in the particular form of paths. And in a way, I think that the solo players have their own particular unique, I guess you could say, boxes. You have the solo player who plays solo to start because they don't know anybody who plays, who just was interested in the game, got involved, and through that experience met people. You have the solo player who goes in with their friends and decides they just kind of need a break. They really don't want to deal with anybody because of drama, BS, what have you. So they feel more or less the need to shy away from interactions with others because otherwise their gameplay experience is destroyed. And then they turn to go into the anonymous thing. Anonymous thing. There we go. And looking for group tools tend to be really good for them because they have the chance to just still accomplish goals, but they don't have to talk to anybody. You also have the solo players who want to interact, but time won't let them. In fact, it was really interesting. I was speaking with Duris, and Duris says, "Ah, the solo player. Parenthood will do that to you." He brings up a very good point. So there are a whole bunch of different types of solo players, and each one of them impacts, I believe, the game. So let's look back a little on my history, because it'll help you see my standpoint and where I'm coming from. And considering I'm the only one here, and it's not like I can turn to Gazachua. By the way, thank you, Suliko, for my my little Chua. At some point, I'll set him up and throw darts at him when Gazimov annoys me. But it's not like I can turn to my other co-hosts and ask them their opinions and see why their perspective is what it is. In this particular case, I have to go with what I know and then turn to you guys and hopefully get some really good feedback on this. So for my playing history, when I first started playing games, I played them solo. I am talking back in the day of having an Atari, doing pole position, and making my way through stuff. When I got into MMOs, I got into MMOs because friends who were playing it dragged me in. So I didn't start out my MMO gameplay life from a solo player perspective. I was one who had friends who brought me in. I discovered my love of the game, and over time, I discovered that there are times where I want nothing to do with anybody, and I just want to still play the game, but just leave me the hell alone. For whatever reason, either I've had a bad day at work, or my friends just piss me off, or whatever, you know? And then I went from having that kind of group experience to having a really, really, really big group. I ran a guild of over 300 members and a raiding guild that was partial progression in World of Warcraft, having over 300 members. So my MMO playstyle went from being small group to really, really big group. And then I dropped down to small player or small group again, because being in the big group, it had its own daunting circumstances. And then I've now moved into solo play in some games, but for the most part, I am in what I would term is, for me, the perfect size group, which is the guild that I'm in right now. It is perfect for me, but there are still going to be games that I want to play that my friends aren't going to want to play, and I still derive enjoyment from them. Does this mean, though, that in an MMO game, a solo player contributes nothing? Now, we've discussed in MMOBuff show repeatedly the fact that the choices that us game players make actually fully impact the future designs of games. We have questioned whether the fact that people got really, 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 really sick, quote unquote, of large-scale raiding, that they decided to bring small-scale raiding in. And smaller scale rating, and smaller scale rating, and hey, you guys can raid in a 5-man group, or hey, you guys can raid in a 3-man group, depending upon the game you're in. Now, we've discussed the way that the player's choices impact things. We also have heard from interviews, for example, like Jeremy Gaffney stating that something like 60 to 70% of Western players are solo players. They're not necessarily looking for the group content. They're not necessarily looking for the guild or the community experience. They just want to pick up, play the game, drop it like it's hot. Sorry. And then move on. So the question becomes, do we think, or at least for me, that in an MMO game, the solo player impacts MMOs negatively? Has changed the game to force us to accept things that we wouldn't normally accept from the past? And really, just in general, what are my thoughts on it? Now, I see a whole bunch of chat coming through, and that was me leading up to stuff. So I'm going to take a quick moment, have a sip of my drink, and I am going to read through some comments. This is me not shutting up or ignoring you or anything else like that. This is me just taking a moment and actually being able to catch up with things. And yes, to quote people, the Hive leader got it, Heraclin got it, one-man instance in raids, they are there. So, when it comes to solo things, Stonepoint says, you also have the solo player who started playing with the mates and then stayed on after their mates decided to stop playing. Sometimes it's your love of the game that keeps you around, but your mates are all me. And they decide to move on. Very good point. I believe that in today's day and age, in order for a game to actually stick around and take root, because we have seen so many MMOs start and fail. We have seen so many MMOs start, kind of sputter, and then kind of flatline, but then get picked up again, and then they never are quite the same or what they could have been to begin with. Not mentioning any names. However, for me, I have always felt that for the MMO experience is best felt through a community, be it a guild or a group of friends. I have always felt that if I just wanted a game where I could log in, kill a few dudes, loot a few items, do whatever, then there's absolutely no reason for me to be in an MMO. Now, granted, the mechanics may be kind of cool, but in today's day and age, there are so many games out there right now that mimic slightly, if not almost completely, the solo game / MMO experience in their own right. Now, Isku believes that solo play is another style of play, although they prefer small groups because of the interactions with their friends. I tend to, and as you guys who are familiar watchers of this particular show, I tend to have the opinion that solo play has its place, but it ain't for me, because I'm all about the community. I mean, there's kind of a reason I'm a community manager. I love the interaction with people. I love getting to know people. I love knowing when somebody's birthday is. I love knowing whether they've just finished their finals. I love that kind of stuff. For me, I'm about the people. Which is why I said I'm a recovering solo player. Or soloist. This is not to necessarily say that being a solo player is bad. It's more or less not my playstyle, which is why I went through my history a little bit, because the reality is I could just talk trash about, solo players, but I don't think that's fair. I think, however, that a lot of the design choices that piss off the group players, the ones who don't want to play an MMO solo, are actually slightly caused by the solo player. And I think some of the things that piss off the solo player is caused by the group player. So in the end, we're all out to get each other. Ain't that just swell? Aren't we just one great big happy family? Now, a lot of game developers, Stout Pint, I firmly believe, recognize the fact that if you're going to make an MMO, you give a bonus to the people who actually group together and work together. Whether this means the raiding content where you can only get the best weapons in game or the most beautiful weapons in game, I guess that's kind of a matter of opinion, because I still think some of the tier stuff that was released for Blizzard was ugly, and I really didn't want it. Because it was just like, ew, gross. But anyway, they do reward the players who group together. Even in The Elder Scrolls Online has a group benefit where I do believe they give you like 100% extra bonus XP if you're running around with a group mate, if I remember correctly. I just remember there was a bonus and it was pretty big, and I was like, that's kind of substantial. However, there still needs to be room in an MMO for a solo player, because some people enjoy playing parts of the game that are not actually group oriented. For example, how is the best way, and I'm going to let you guys tell me because I have an idea, but I want to see what you guys think. But what's the best way to play the MMO auction house market with a group? Doesn't it seem to cater itself a bit to be a bit more along the lines of the solo player who's actually doing all of that? Because you don't kind of want to compete with your friends if you're all going farming the same items to put them up. Yet at the same time, if you had an entire conglomerate working for you, doing nothing but doing the runs into the deep part of the solar system. Thank you, Hive Leader. That's a visual that I needed to see. Do you heal them afterwards, or do you just, not bother? But when you start looking at the auction house, you don't want to play against your friends, but let's say that you get your group of friends together, you get your 40-man raid, and your 40-man raid goes forth and farms a whole bunch of stuff, and then you pick that one person who puts all that stuff up on the auction house. There's still that one person who's playing the market for money, playing it for, is this the best price? Should I buy high? Should I sell low? That kind of a thing. I think for me, when it comes to the solo player in an MMO, I think their biggest role is that they keep developers on their toes. That's an interesting way to do it. Wow. I think the moment you start pulling out spreadsheets, Dist, I think that was Mizpah's definition of hardcore, whereas I firmly think he was wrong on that. You should really go back and watch that episode. I kind of laid into Mizpah. But, yeah. When you start pulling out spreadsheets just to do the auction house, that's kind of like, whoa. But there are actually people out there who do it. I mean, even like, I wouldn't necessarily say GTA, in its current iteration is an MMO. It does have multiplayer elements to it, but I wouldn't classify it as an MMO. And they do have a stock market, and there it is trended, and you can link and lose a lot of money, etc. So in today's day and age, anything is possible. Bring out the spreadsheets. But the solo player who signs in and just does the quests because they enjoy them, the one who signs in and just does the character creation. I know somebody, not going to mention any names, but who spends probably about 45 minutes to an hour on each part of their body for character customization in games like Final Fantasy, Champions Online, where you have a lot of flexibility. And they'll play for like 30 minutes and then delete their character just to start it up again because they really like that character creation process. So I have to thank them, because it's probably because of them that we have all the selections that they have, because they're probably the ones sitting there on the forum going, why don't we have capes that do this? Or something like that. So, solo players have their place. I think, however, though, solo players get a bad rap. And I think in some cases they get a bad rap because most people, when you think of a multiplayer online thing, like we've all been saying, it kind of defeats the purpose if you play alone. But I have actually seen people become solo players because of incredibly nasty circumstances with their groups. I mean, what about the person who feels like they can't be a part of the group or a group because anytime they've joined a guild or a community or a group, all they've gotten is bullied, ridiculed, picked on. The more famous ones are the women who choose not to talk on, voice communication platforms, take your pick, because the moment they do, the gamers are like, oh, you can't play, women can't play, show us your tits or GTFO. It's a very common occurrence. And so they actually start just spending time alone. So I think in a way, solo players are created for a variety of reasons. I think that they are created sometimes by personal choice, sometimes by circumstance. And I think that the ones that we lose due to bad communities, I really want to go back and get them, which is something I will actually talk about very, very soon. Now, solo players can get really lonely. At least I do when I'm playing solo. I have you guys here to help keep me entertained and laughing. Uber Peter Bus, that is a great comment. For those who might have missed it, Uber Peter Bus says, there's no such thing as a bad community, only targets for world PvP. If the game has world PvP, that could be very true. So, I've lost my train of thought because that was actually really good. You screwed me up. Thank you. Right. Solo players and things of that accord. Yes, it can get lonely. Thank you, Gwens. Being a solo player can get lonely. And I kind of feel that a lot of games and game developers of the past, I should say of the past, because there are changes coming up in a lot of MMOs right now that are going to impact this. But I think that unfortunately, because of the fact that so many solo players are coming about probably due to incredibly negative circumstances or very dangerous or painful circumstances where they're leaving communities or their friends just say, screw it, we're done with this game, we're moving on, yet somebody is left behind. And they're still trying to find another community, but you still want to talk to your friends, yet the next guild's all, no, you have to stay and talk to us. So it's like people are dividing lines between who you can hang out with in a game, etc. When you have people who are left behind, and we're just going to call these solo players the left behinders. Now, these can be the people who have the children. These can be the people who have had the bad experiences. These are people who are solo players, not by choice, but by circumstance. How about that? Yay, we have a definition. Solo players by circumstance, not by choice. I think, unfortunately, developers kind of missed the boat in a few cases, while allowing for things to happen like looking for group, which is a debatable topic unto itself, and it's something we've discussed in previous episodes, so I'm not going to continue to beat a horse that is probably flailing in agony. But I think because of the fact that there has been so many circumstantial changes, developers have started to create a lot more solo content. And unfortunately, that paradigm has shifted a lot of future game development as well. Not all, like I said, because there are some things coming out that are going to be changing how, for example, in World of Warcraft, there are changes coming. We've got changes coming in WildStar. We've got changes coming in EverQuest. We've got changes coming all over the place. But I think what may have happened is 10 years ago, when everyone's, well, it's not really 10 years ago, it's kind of only 8 years old, when World of Warcraft blew up in the planet and everyone was, oh my gosh, do you play? I don't play, but, William Shatner plays. Oh my gosh, we should all be a part of this. Great marketing techniques, by the way. But anyway, when everyone got involved in it, we had all kinds of generations. It was new, it was fluffy, it was, the definition of fun is by inherent something new. So everyone got involved in it. But then the people who had the actual time and the disposable income who were playing it, we all kind of grew up. We all got jobs. We all ended up with families, bills to pay. It's kind of like our playtime got shrunk down from those days where we used to do nothing but play 14 to 18 hours a day. I was hardcore, man. There were days where I didn't sleep because I needed to make certain my level was up, or my raiding consumables were taken care of, or I handled all the guild needs. I was hardcore. I actually use the term hardcore for myself for just the fact that I did not sleep. But anyway, the solo player, or at least for me in that particular aspect, really shows that I've grown up. You hear me joke at the start of the show, I've got games thanks to my husband. Now I gotta find time to play them. That's a reality here. How many times do I see in chat, on Twitter, on Facebook, in Reddit, people going, oh, this game looks amazing. I have no time to play it. Does that mean that they're going to avoid it? No. Does that mean they're probably going to be one of the solo players in the game? There's probably a really high likelihood of it. And I think it's fair to have the developers actually put content out there for them. However, the lost sheep, those who wish to have a community but have been denied it, I still think there needs to be, I don't want to say help for them, because it's not like it's a problem, but at the same time it is. I still think there needs to be things to help them. Which is where I think it's not necessarily on the developers, but it's on us. And you'll have to let me know if you agree on that. But I do think that it actually sits on our shoulders to ensure that the quote-unquote lost sheep of the community have a community. This says that getting into a decent guild that is committed to the game and the guild members that can be very hard to find, and I completely agree with you. It's taken me probably about a decade to find the right gaming community for myself that ticked all my boxes. bosses, boxes. um, oh, Mickus. You, my dear, are truly, truly funny man. But I hear it in your voice, and you. Those who don't know, Mickus is in the guild that I'm in, and Mickus has this absolutely brilliant, like, it's really hard to explain. But there you go. Now, it's kind of interesting because, in a way, we kind of go full circle with this. And it's sort of, I know there'd be a heck of a lot more, like, quote unquote, rich content about the solo player and what it is if, Gazimov was here to add his thoughts on it. But again, that kind of shows why group play is so important. You get more for it. And, I know that there would be more if Mizpa was here and he'd have his radio announcer voice. I'm vampire, rock, what is it, horse jockey DJ thing that he's got going on. He'd have his own comments to say. But when you're just alone, it always comes back to one thing, your community. I myself am such a huge fan of people, both good and bad, because it takes all shapes to make the world go round. Hello, cliche. I really wish I had like the dancing frog or the thing from like the Warner Brothers who every time I said something cliche, he'd come across and he'd be like, hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal. But, yeah. We're going kind of towards one of our big announcements that we've got coming here. And I'm wondering if it might be worth me just switching to the announcement to tell you guys what's new, to tell you guys the winners of the contest, and things like that. So I'll let you pick. Do you guys want to have the contest winners first, or the what's special coming first? And Uber Peter Bus, you probably have nailed one of the reasons why I think MMOs actually can help foster stronger communities and relationships beyond just simply, I've taken a boss down. Because, in all honesty, there are so many people in this world who cannot talk to each other due to social stigmas, self-esteem issues. This is not to say these are bad things. In fact, I don't know a single person who doesn't have a self-esteem issue in some way, shape, or form. I think that's human nature at this current moment in time. Some of us hide it better than others. Some of us have it for different reasons. But, we're all flawed creatures. That's just who we are. But, the reality is, when you are able to, quote unquote, don the mask of anonymity, or pixels even, and this is why I have a certain strong opinion about, quote unquote, making characters that are male or female look too sexy in a game. I've got certain opinions on it, and it kind of stems from the fact that when I put on pixels, it's not just the story I'm after. I'm a huge lore fan. It's not just the mechanics I'm after. I really love raining. It's not just the community that I am after, but I also want to look good while doing it. So, but that's, again, a discussion for a whole nother show. But the problem also comes about is when that anonymous mask comes on. And I really do wish I had my anonymous mask in front of me. I actually have a mask from Anonymous that I could put on and be all mysterious and stuff, but that's not going to happen. But anyway, when you put that on, it, one, can liberate some people, and it can liberate them in a good way because it allows people to develop friendships. It allows a closeness to be formed. However, at the same time, it releases the Kraken. And then we get our trolls. And we get the people whose entire purpose is to do nothing but bully or, belittle or what have you. So finding that balance is almost an impossibility, but I firmly believe, and I'm probably naive, maybe, I firmly believe in the power of community for good, even if there are bad apples and seeds in it. So, but yes, we've had a lot of rather interesting people say stuff, and people want to know what's coming. So, I am going to move to the what's coming, which means, obviously, screen transition. Ooh, ooh. Right. First off, you guys are very, very supportive of the fact that I'm having to do this show solo. So thank you. I want to remind people, because of the fact that I missed last week, Top Drawers episode 2, which is the deck design part 2. It's not episode 2, I think it's like episode 4, but deck design part 2 will be this Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT. Get involved, because I have a couple of ideas for that show, but I kind of need y'all to be around. And don't worry, yes, I will still be going head-to-head against Mizpa in a Hearthstone match before the end of this year. You're not going to want to miss that. Trash talking will assume, and I will use the Mizicorn, as I have just nicknamed him for today, to help me beat Mizpa in Hearthstone. Expertly steering the ship. Am I going port? Aft? Starboard? Oh. Anyway. Don't forget Cosmotronic is on Friday. Okay. We have a new winter contest coming up. This... Team Pseudo. Yes, Team Pseudo me. Support me. But yes, we have a contest coming up. Everyone knows that I'm Swagzilla. Maybe I want to hold off on that one. I'll hold off on that one. Okay. Okay, for those of you who've actually looked at the teaser images, you have seen that we do have a new show coming up. Our new show is going to be on a Tuesday night, starting in the new year, at... dun dun dun, 8 p.m. GMT. Ooh. And we get another transition screen. It's green. Cosmotronic is blue. Top Drawer is orange. MMO Buff Monday is purple. Campfire is green. So what is the campfire? Yes, it is a show called The Campfire. Oh, that's why there's campfires. This show is going to have almost every single episode a special guest. Literally. And it's from you guys. It's from the community. I know for a fact, and I... should I announce this or should... I'll just announce it. Whew! Ow, my foot. If all things go well, and it looks like they're going that way, my very first guest is actually going to be Blank Space from SVG. Now, you may be asking yourself, or SVG and Late Night Dominion, because they do their things. You may be asking yourself, why on earth would you have someone like that on your show? Besides the fact that he's funny. I also have a couple of other people who are interested in getting involved in the show, because the campfire is literally all about guilds. It is all about the communities we foster. And it's all about answering the questions that I am sick and tired of not seeing answers for. I cannot stand, and here we go. I need a soapbox. I cannot stand it when people give what I would term to be generic advice and support that is supposed to solve all problems in a relationship in a guild. No guild is the same. No relationship is the same. People do not fit into boxes. So, what I would like to do is have guild leaders, guild members, community managers. You know, I'm speaking right now with a couple of community managers from some game companies you guys might be aware of. I want to have them come on and talk about what it takes to have a positive, beneficial community. If you have something awesome going on in your guild for Guild Wars 2, tell me so that we can like invite the world to it. If you've got something crazy planned, a charity event, tell me. Let's get people involved. But I don't want it to be that simple. Oh, so like this guy stole loot from me? What should I do? No. I want to bring the bigger issues. I want to talk about the mistakes I made running a large guild, the things I've learned, and I want to help everybody foster a super, super, super awesome community. Not just within MMOBuff, because, come on, I'm a community manager. Obviously, I'm going to want to be supportive of the community that's a part of, the shows and things like that. But I want to impact and make change on a global scale. Yay. Okay, so the campfire. That's what's coming. And the nifty thing about it is if you're watching this, makes a difference if you're watching it on YouTube, makes a difference if you are watching it at a later time. If you actually want to be on the show, there is a pretty strong chance you'll get on it. So you can actually have your say about guilds. You can have your say about communities. You can talk about your pet peeves. You can talk about your success stories. You can talk about what works, what doesn't work. You can share your advice with everyone else. So grab your adorable little stuffed animals, hug them close to you, and join me at the campfire as we roast s'mores and toast marshmallows and drink and talk about all things human nature. And yes, there will actually be in-depth discussion about things like ethics. Go figure. We're not going to just sit there and do your simple common sense advice for people. That to me is just, doesn't sit well with me. I actually want to tackle the things that most people would sit there and go, wait, what? You're actually going to go there? Yeah, I am. Yes, I would love to have old Git, aka Gear, on with me. That would be an interesting show. And yes, you could do a Dear Pseudo kind of a thing if you wanted to. And yes, I will agree, Mark Holmes is rather hysterical, although Jean seems to be pretty darn close there too. Jean is, he's funny. But again, that's just pure carbine based. Right. So something crazy and weird is about to happen on the screen. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I am Swagzilla, and yes, that is a skull icon over my head, making me the boss. For some reason, it seemed like a really good idea at the time. I really don't know if it is, but I still really like it. As we know, I have a lair, and my lair is full of swag. And my lair recently had an influx of stuff from BlizzCon, including things like Hearthstone Beta Key Giveaway, Murloc plushie, games, signed t-shirts. For those who don't remember what that might look like, check out my loot. That way. The loot in the lair of Swagzilla. By killing this boss, not really killing me, but, by raiding my lair, you guys have pretty much ensured a chance at being a part of this, and now I have the winners. And I get to tell people what they have won. So, drum roll, and I should probably take myself back to where I have the skull over my head. I am the raid boss. Hey, it's all good. So yes, we had multiple tiers for our winners. And I just realized that it's probably a good idea for me to review them with everybody. We are giving away 4 of the World of Warcraft base game. It's changed. They've rebranded it, so it's actually everything but Mist of Pandaria now. And it is the EU version, which means that, you could give it away for Christmas or something, or, give it for a Hanukkah gift, or get your friends involved with you, or set up your, 6 shaman account for you running around as 6 shamans. Really, whatever floats your boat and tickles your fancy is the way it goes. I feel like I should have my my co-hosts with me as I announce these winners. Does that work? There we go. These are the ads. This is the healer, and this is the DPS. At least that's my thought. I just need to put them down. That's what it is. Okay, so we have four winners of the rare level, and here's the deal. If you have won, I will be contacting you through Twitter, and we'll go from there. So our 4 winners who get a rare prize, their Twitter names are Chrono_1000AD424, Stephen Winges, Villain979, and Nomilock. Those 4 people get the box of awesomeness. Now, we need to deal with the epic loot. Now, the epic loot deals with these t-shirts. And the t-shirts are signed. And the t-shirts being signed is kind of crazy. And the winner of this, who gets the game and the t-shirt. And the t-shirt that they get is the Alliance t-shirt, because our legendary winner won Horde. But our epic winner is Tickle Totem, which is just a great name. And apparently they're involved in a totem website that involves shamans. Go figure. So they're going to get the signed Alliance t-shirt and the box game. Yeah. Tickle Totem. Isn't that great? Isn't it just? And then the legendary winner. Random.org was busy for me today. Like I said, I had to go through a couple people who weren't following us, so you missed out. And this individual not only gets the game, not only gets the signed t-shirt, they also get a Hearthstone beta key and the official Little Merc Guy Murloc plushie from BlizzCon. I'm going to tell you right now, I am so jealous of you because I want my little Murlocs. But that's okay, because Swagzilla, my lair, has been raided, and it is fair enough. I pretend to be slayed. Okay, so there you go. I've died. You can loot me now. And the winner of this awesome legendary prize is going to be announced after I bring up the next contest we're having. Oh, I'm a little evil. There's a reason that I am Swagzilla, and there's a reason I have a raid icon over my head for, first kill. So we have a new contest coming up, and it's going to have all of the details on everything that you need to know about it up on the website, probably Wednesday, because I need some time to actually, breathe since I was sick last week. But here's the deal. We're going to be taking off for the holidays. Our last show will probably be the 23rd. We're still not quite certain how we want to do that. It's a matter of making certain that we balance it and give people a chance to be with their families, travel, etc. However, because of the fact that it's the end of the year, and I have swag like you would not believe to just randomly toss around at people, I am going to be picking 3 people who are subscribed to us on YouTube. Hint, you should be subscribed. on YouTube, who are subscribed to us on YouTube, and who send in to me, and there will be a very, very, very special way to send this to me, so you will need to follow the instructions once they go up, your favorite moments from our shows since we've started. I am looking for things like the funniest comment, the most insightful comment, the craziest facial expression, things like that. And, like I said, I'll be picking 3, and I will be distributing randomly crazy items out of my... I literally have a suitcase full of loot. So, there will be instructions on what I'm looking for. We're going to produce, by the end of the year, our top voted stuff. You must be subscribed to our YouTube channel. And now I'll just save that for later. So yeah, kind of like the Gaffney tape moment. Or the moment that Gazimov disappeared and I ended up in 2 screens. Or the moment that people were singing, and I'm not going to help you out with that. And hello, Zambu. Yes, there will be rules to this, but this at least gives you guys a head start because you guys are here live. You get a head start to a contest that's not even on the website yet. I mean, hello, what is Swagzilla doing? Am I crazy or what? Wow. Or yes, the Kazi look. I can't quite do it, but yes. So finally, we move into the winner of our legendary prize. The Hearthstone Beta Key, the Murloc plushie, the Horde signed t-shirt, and the game. Yes, there have been many. So, the winner of the legendary prize Oh, yeah. Again, make certain you're following us on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit. Don't forget, we've now started an IRC chat. That will be integrated into the website soon. Got many, many things to do. Very little time to do it in. Let me think. Is there anything else? I can't think of anything else. I think I may have actually exhausted all my excuses for not revealing the winner. Huh. Oh, I guess it means I'll just have to reveal the winner. So, yeah. The winner of our legendary pack of amazingness from BlizzCon and the rating of my lair to get my loot. I'm having too much fun with those things. I probably should stop. Is Squall_Enigma. Congratulations. You're getting a plushie. And I am so jealous. I want to cry. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe someday I'll have my husband buy me all the plushies like Gazimov buys for his wife. Maybe. Maybe. But remember, all of the things are not over. Swagzilla, I think, is going to have a holiday oubliette that needs to be rated. And her raid will be coming up. I don't know why I'm talking in like third person, twice removed first or whatever. She, as I talk about myself. Swagzilla is impressed. Swagzilla brings more swag. Swagzilla has many things coming. Many, many, many things coming. But yes, I have to thank you guys all for being here. I will stick around for a bit of an after show random chat because it's very difficult being able to actually see the communication that you guys send me as much as I used to, because I'm used to half ignoring what Mizpah says occasionally, half ignoring what Gazzy says occasionally, just so I can read what you all say and then include you. So, don't tell them. It's a secret. Not really. But it's a lot easier when I don't have to worry about transitioning things, etc. So, but yeah, remember the awesomeness that is coming up. That is the campfire. I have some amazing stuff, and the thing is, you actually can have input. Actually, as I used the word actually about 90 times, because for some reason that's the way it works for me. So what I am going to do, yes, Swagzilla demands a sacrifice. If we mention Swagzilla, you know, I have to put the skull icon back over my head. Let's avoid Swagzilla for a little bit so I can talk other stuff. But yeah. Thank you guys so very much for being here tonight. Hopefully you've really enjoyed yourselves. I know it can be kind of a bit of a annoyance when it's just one person. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. And yes, I have my rants and things, but the reality is I like talking to people. I like bouncing ideas off. And if you watched last episode of MMO Buff on Monday, hardcore versus casual versus pond life, you see how much I really like talking back to Miz. It's still one of my favorite moments. But yes, we're going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Thank you guys so very much. Like I said, this is basically just my notice to the producers. We end this here for YouTube. Say bye-bye, Gazzy. Say bye-bye, Mizpah. And this is a goodbye from me, although, as is everyone who has watched the show knows, it's a toodle pip from me.